Hey folks, how's it going? RedMaster here, and welcome back to an episode of Casting Conflict, where today we've got a great match lined up for you. But there are some things that you might notice on this board that we are going to clarify here. Obviously, there is a lack of co-caster with me inside of the booth here, and that is because we're going to have Slasher and Tweakin do a little bit of co-casting together inside the matches. I will be handling all of the post-match, so you'll be seeing more of them later down the line. As well as the board, as you can see, currently no changes from the last match here. I know we did have Asteroid and Bolas go head-to-head here, but currently this is all being filmed before that match has happened, so we don't really know the outcome of that. Really, I can't show you that, but I digress. We'll have that updated for you by the end of the episode, so no worries there. However, we are jumping into our match of the day, which is going to be Jump taking on Helios here. Now, Helios had a strong showing last month in a bit of a showcase matchup here. He got his first set win, putting him on the same level as Jump. So really this game, or this set, excuse me, is going to have a lot of factors or a lot of weight on it for the leaderboard here. And to see where they go, if one drops, one climbs, definitely a possibility there. But I mean, looking at the decks, it theoretically should be an easier match for Helios here. A lot of burn on his disposal here, things like Arc Fire, Blue Fire, Flame Storm, against a deck that relies a lot on that early buff. So like, if Jump maybe throws out a Blacksmith, Fat Bard, maybe it's a Hovel out there, if that gets burned off early on, it's going to be difficult for him to kind of keep up with what Helios is doing, and then Helios can, of course, just follow up with the big Last Will stuff. So it should be Helios' game, but we'll just have to see inside of the matchup itself here. Very curious, though. So with that being said, not going to do it, keep you here for too much longer, I should say. So let's go ahead and throw it off to Slash and Tweakin, who will take you to match number 1.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Slasher, here with Tweakin today, joining me for watching the match of Jump 77 versus Helios. Tweakin, what do you think we're going to see in this matchup?
Well, just looking at the deck, we know Helios is running, just an average Last Will deck. And Jump, he's kind of running like, it's not a monsters deck, but just kind of like a heavy deck with Ranger, Call of Aids, Swordsman, Scope, and Bestial Rage. That's his big counter to this. So I want to say Jump's way of winning this is if he can keep the game close in the early mid game and kind of get those bigger units out towards the later parts of the match with the Swordsman and the Scopes and all that.
I really like this from Helios, him not pushing there. It's one of those where he would have just lost a unit for free.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Jump's going to really struggle as soon as that Helios gets like a double Flamestorm out. I mean, Flamestorm is arguably the best card in Warlocks, and just because of its denial ability. And I mean, here we have Helios. He's starting to get that ramp up.
What do you value here more, though, the Fat Bard or the Blacksmith?
Oh, I'd say you throw out Blacksmith to start.
It's gonna go for the, and then
Interesting.
probably follow up with the, yeah.
I definitely would have done Blacksmith to start, because then you get the Armory Fat Bard quote unquote combo where then you can start putting out other Blacksmiths and they don't just die. But
right.
Do you think this is Jump saying you don't have anything to clean me up this turn?
I think he's trying to get as much burn out of Helios's hand onto that Faithful Drake, so that when he does play his Armories, Fat Barks, and Blacksmith, Helios has already used his Blue Fire Bolts and direct damage on that Faithful Drake. But unfortunately, the Undead Knights snipe the Faithful Drake. So now, I mean, there is potential that Helios has a Blue Fire Bolt in his hand. But it was a little risky playing that Undead Knight if he actually had a Blue Fire Bolt, because there was a lot of targets on the field.
Definitely. I dislike this Armory positioning. I think it would have been better in the bottom corner. That being said, I can't complain about the position Jumps in. It's a pretty good start, and there's no real. I don't see a comeback from Helios except for literally just.
Oh,
and no comeback back now. No comeback. I would have seen maybe like a Dragon's Fire into just burning every single turn, but what do you do the moment that, say, Call for Aid filters into Jump's hand and he plays it?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Helios is desperately looking for a Flame Storm or a Dragon's Fire here to kind of just even out the board, especially once with this Elvish Thief hits the board and maybe even follows up with a Fat Bard.
I think Fat Bard is huge here because then it stops the Dragon's Fire potential,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure it matters. I mean, he's threatening a single blacksmith next turn.
I think this is game over. Yeah, 'cause the Dragon's Fire is not going to clear out what he needs to do here. And then the
And the
Bestial Rage on
Rampage
top.
missed.
Yeah, yeah.
Well played by Jump. Very quick, very tempo-based first game here from him, really putting the pressure on the red yellow before they can get everything rolling. Just excellently played.
It was a risky move to go, that hard, that fast, especially up against, red yellow, but sometimes it pays out. And it did in this match.
That is for certain. That is definitely for sure. I think that in the end, Helios should have been more aware of his castle health and possibly even traded off that lumberjack sooner. But
Right.
hindsight's always 2020. But an excellent game from both players, and looking forward to going to our second match here.
All right, folks, and taking you into the post-match here before we get set for game number 2. Jump quite victorious in that one in a bit of a dominant tempo fashion. I mean, really, we saw by the matchup here, Jump was just able to get his engine going and a lot faster. Helios did look like he was coming back, man, but that lost Andrew from the last Will of Salahar rider really did not do him any favors, and really just kind of dictated how the rest of the matchup would go. Nothing really that he could do in that scenario here. I would like to see more burn from him, but I guess not in a position to be able to use those as freely as he could. And, once Jump just got his engine moving, very hard to slow it down here. So congrats, Jump, taking game number 1 here. But we have a game number 2. Helios set to counteract a little bit of what Jump is doing here. So let's see how he does it right now.
Purple white.
Yeah, this is really quite the interesting combination we're seeing here. But once again, we're back here with Jump and Helios. Game number 2. Jump taking the first match fairly conclusively, I'd say, Tweaking. Just
Yeah.
pure aggression. What do you think could be coming out of purple white? Like possibly a companion bounce deck to counter this, or
I could only assume it's a bit risky for first strike with the amount of buffs that Jump has. And, you pair that with the scopes and the range units. Um, I think that's a little bit too risky. I would assume, just based on the colors, it would tend to be more of a bounce deck. But I mean, we haven't really seen anything to, justify that yet.
I think if this is first strike, which I mean, arguably the two meta options here are first strike and bounce.
Hmm.
If this is first strike, it's really going to do very poorly the moment a rat hovel comes out, and we see one lurking there in Jump's hand. I'm I'm not exactly sure what Helios would be thinking if he was playing first strike, but if he is and makes it work, power to him.
Right. Do you think a harmonic balance is lurking somewhere in this deck?
If it is, it's going to be better for Jump than it is going to be for Helios.
Right.
It's just like
But I mean, the harmonic balance doesn't really affect the first strike unit.
while that is true, Manticore exists, and we now see it in hand.
Ah,
Um, I mean, look
probably
at this board.
Rat
I
Hovel
think,
and Dragon's Lore.
yeah,
Dragon's Hand.
I dislike Jump's earlier play of trading with the Trent because I think he would have traded regardless. But it's one of those where I don't think that too damaging. Oh, and Swiftness coming out.
Maybe this is a movement deck, maybe with a funny swordsman play.
If it is a movement deck, I'm very, very happy about that. I don't think it is, though. Do you think we see Armory Blacksmith here?
Uh,
I think we see it,
maybe even
especially when he's
a
covering it.
We could see a Manicore here and maybe possibly save the Blacksmith for next turn. Hit the Dwarf with the Rat and then block with the Manicore up top. Or you don't even have to. Yeah, you can trade right here and just get the Manicore out the block face.
I think turn 5 here could be very devastating for Jump's board if Helios is packing companions. I find it interesting that he just traded off there.
It's not looking the best. Where I would, if I'm Jump, I'm playing Call for Aid unless I draw. Yeah, I know Call for Aid. Get these big boys out.
Are
Nothing
you
really.
sure you don't just play Blacksmith Fat Bard here? And I mean you have now +3 on every single unit's attack, which arguably is the win condition.
Well, we're gonna see him go with the Fat Bard and the Blacksmith. Now, if Helios is able to, somehow take out the Manicore and the Rat, depending on how he positions the Blacksmith,
Uh,
Jump might have to waste another turn playing Call for Aid here without playing any units.
I am very concerned for Helios in this position. While I do know that purple white are the colors to just board clear for free and then kill castle with E strike or something,
Mhm.
it's you have 1 unit on the board versus 2 offensive ones from Jump. You're just not looking good here, and a call for aid coming out, which while sure it may be good, you're about to start losing nearly your entire board for free here.
Ooh. Do you get the Centaur out and go and just start rushing down face
I don't think so. I think you
and play
play.
another Rat Hovel? Or do you play your own Call
Everything's
for
good
Aid?
here, Jump. It's like, well, you've got everything is just so good here for Jump. It's man, I don't see a way back for Helios at all. I know there's probably one out there. I mean, he may have some kind of neat Spirit Link play, but if he plays Hovel, it's good for Jump because he's now putting 2 4/3s on board.
Mhm.
If he plays Centaur, he's has so much aggression and he can play Hovel. And I mean, now that he's played Call for Aid, he has these now 2 big meaty units which are going to come out and just trade for basically free with the entire board that Helios can um basically field. And the other thing that Helios is about to run into is the fact that Jump still has a Spirit Link unit on the field. So any
Right.
first strike is in essence useless against this aggression.
I think we can take out the first strike deck. I don't. We're not seeing anything. We're not seeing Ronin. We're not seeing Demon Hunter. So I don't think first
This
strike.
could be a Rampage first strike deck where it's almost like he's running the off colors for it.
Right.
I don't think that's the case, but it could be. Ooh, here I would have preferred to have seen him kill off the Treant and play Centaur above his Rat attacking castle for an additional 6 damage on face, but man, just Jump in such a dominant position here in game 2.
Ooh,
So
what's he thinking about here?
the way back that I see for Helios is he plays E Strike and Bestial Rage on that Ranger,
Right.
and somehow by magic, everything goes on face against Jump.
We really haven't seen anything from Helios. I mean, the one spell we've seen was Swiftness. So we're still trying to figure out what type of deck Helios is running. We might see it here with 8 gold and a plethora of cards in his hand.
I really do think it is a return deck based upon the fact that he had a Shaman. But Shaman's just a good card to be running in a situation where you may not have, I don't know, a level of normalcy. I don't think this is
Bestial
gonna
Rage
be
right here.
I don't think this is gonna do enough here for Helios is taking out this armory because no matter what, you're having to block face and then this Centaur's gonna come in and swing in. And I don't see a
Hmm.
answer to basically playing either a Northlands Ranger or a Southport or nearly anything.
Yeah, no, it's just a ticking clock for Helios right now because you're gonna trade with the Centaur here. You're gonna push face with the 9/9 Ranger, and then next turn you can either end the game with another Ranger or Southport and just snipe the castle. Yeah,
Well played here though from Jump to I mean take it to this position. I think that his buffs and hovels were and his deck archetype did a whole lot for him, but still he had excellent positioning. Just his ability to minimize damage from companions and other removal cards that druids can run.
I'm curious. I'm curious to see what type of deck Helios chose to run here, just to kind of see the idea behind it. Because I mean, there's the Fenrir. We might see a
If
first
he
strike.
plays Iken Aietsu, I think. Yeah, I mean it doesn't save him, but
It's
it's
still
still
not.
cool.
It's still not enough. I don't think you would have to take out the Ranger Elvish Thief and then block. Yeah, no, that's still not enough. Takes out the Fat Bar. Takes out the Ranger. Still not enough.
An
Clean
inter-
sweep.
an interesting deck choice there from Helios, but a very clean, very crisp matches from Jump, and it's nice to see him back into this tip top shape of form.
I would have liked to see Helios run maybe a more direct damage or I mean, Chain Lightning, yeah, but that's a little bit more risky. But maybe your Mystic Rats, just to get that, that guaranteed win, and then to play it back with your last will deck, your stronger deck. I think this was a little bit too funny. I think he got a little bit too fancy with his deck choice for the second match, and it bit him in the butt.
Yeah, I think Helios definitely got somewhat inside his head there, but nicely played from Jump. And let's go to the post match.
All right, folks, and coming back in for match number 2, the last of this set, unfortunately, as Jump does take another victory. Quite impressive from Jump here, but yeah, curious to see Helios go with the purple-white counteract strategy here. Rocking E-Strike as sort of, I guess, the main win con of the deck, paired with some big bodies here. You've got Fenrir, Shodan, perhaps some Rampage as well. We're hearing the triple Bestial in here. Lunging and Alpha, first strike components here, which Slash and Tweaky did mention that it didn't really see any, but we know it is actually in here. So yeah, unfortunately, I just think this deck, while fine in concept, I just don't think performed too well in this matchup for Helios. It was just a case of, I think we saw a lot of those buffs here, the Blacksmith, the Bar, the Armory, and once those were established, it was very difficult for Helios' deck to kind of get over those without the need for a Centaur, which didn't really come in until later. We saw that he chipped away the Hovel and Armory with a Centaur Rage, but even at that, it didn't really mean much at that point. It was really like a situation where Helios needed that Centaur at the moment here to shut things down, and it kind of just didn't work for him, unfortunately, here. But yeah, curious pick for Helios, because, I mean, a deck like this tends to be maybe a little slower to actually get the pieces together, in which we saw Jump's deck, was able to kind of get going faster, and kind of similar fashion repeated itself in this matchup. But yeah, very odd choice here, and unfortunately that does put Helios at a 1-4 for the regular season. I'm not sure if he'll be able to make the playoffs here, but we do have our Raka Rumble later on in the month of June, so perhaps he'll get a shot there. But I think really needs to evaluate himself just a little bit more. Not to say he's, bad, but I guess that's maybe throwing shade at him. The dude's not bad. The dude isn't bad. I just think that maybe he needs to really evaluate some of the decks he's bringing in here and noticing how maybe some other decks of his opponents work, and maybe you have a better strategy going into the Raka Rumble. But yeah, with that being said, congratulations to Jump again for your victory. And let's go ahead and take a look at the leaderboard here to show you how this set will affect our standings.